Great. Well, my name is Ada Berenberg. I'm the director of the Office of Civic Engagement. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm sitting here today with the College of the Environment Senators. And we're continuing with our sessions of talking to each of the senators within the colleges at Western Washington University. So I'm really excited to have you both on today. And I'll give you both a chance to introduce yourself. Feel free, whoever wants to go first.
Hi, I'm Francis Neff. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm one of the student senators for the College of the Environment.
I'm Laura Wagner, she, her, hers. My major is environmental science and Chinese, and I'm one of the College of the Environment senators.
I also missed
Awesome.
the major, but I'm the College of the an environmental science and political science major as well.
Great to hear. And then I'll let Laura go first on this one. Why did you decide to run?
There were a lot of factors playing into it. At the time, I had been engaged in a lot of online activism over the course of the year, especially with the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that was going on politically, keeping myself updated. And I decided that, I was doing my own efforts online to make an impact. But at the same time, there were some things at the school that I really wanted to work on and led my efforts to as someone who was a learning activist. Specifically, the BSO demands, I read them through and I really wanted to help encourage admin and faculty to put a lot of the demands in place, all of the demands in place. And then also the Sustainability Action Plan. I noticed it was from 2017, but to me as a student, it seemed like there weren't very serious efforts taken to update the progress of that action plan or even update the plan at all since 2017. And I was right. So I really wanted to revisit that because there were some great ideas in there. It was just a matter of they weren't being carried out there. And then just generally issues of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. There are a bunch of different stories from different people in the College of the Environment saying that it could be more inclusive. So I definitely wanted to work on that. And then another big one was I saw how much my friends were struggling during COVID times in their classes. So I wanted to focus on accessibility during COVID and bridge the gap between students and professors to hear what faculty are doing to ensure that students have the resources that they need, the support that they need during online school, especially when I noticed people were starting to get tired of online school a lot more, myself included. And then another thing was throughout all of my life in like elementary, middle, high school, I had never really been interested in student government because I felt like it was just this thing for the popular kids to organize events. And I never really felt like they represented anyone necessarily. But then I looked at this position and it looked more like mimicking what actual government does. And students being able to voice their opinions on committees, task forces, and building relationships with influential people at the university to inspire change and lend their voices. So I wanted to join it because I thought it was an interesting opportunity to use my voice and then uplift the voices of others. And I wanted to be as reliable as possible because student government in high school is not necessarily that way. It's not structured the same. And then of course, I do get as an individual pretty frustrated when people who are trying to make change happen aren't entirely transparent. So I really wanted to bring an aspect of transparency and accessibility to the position for anyone to reach out and voice their concerns. Yeah, those are basically the top things that I was interested in.
Yeah, I would say kind of my interest in running originated in within kind of my experience and time at Western, just seeing repeatedly times when I felt like the university was failing students, or decisions were being made that weren't in favor of students. And yeah, feeling that student voices should be heard, and prioritized to a greater extent. And, you know, for me, I've just really found myself to be passionate about working with other people and being able to talk with other people about these issues and like find real solutions. And so kind of stemming from those two things, I saw running for Senate as kind of a great opportunity within COVID, and to like work with other people on these really important issues. And yeah, I would say it was from that kind of my interest in running stemmed from, and I ran, and yeah.
Awesome. And basically ending on the same thing, Francis, I'll go back to you. What advice would you have for someone who's interested in running for the College of the Environment?
I mean, the first thing I would say is if you're interested, do it. I think every person should take that step, take that chance. Just running was an incredible experience. I met a lot of wonderful people through that. Really, it made me think a lot more about like my role as a student, or even as a student leader on campus. So I think everyone, if you're considering running, should do it. And then beyond that, I would say just be genuine to yourself. Think about the issues that really matter to you, that maybe you have affected you personally, or you know people who have been affected by issues on campus, and just take those issues on a full head of steam, I guess. Yeah, and then I would say also take it as an opportunity. I know I touched on this a little bit, but take it as an opportunity to collaborate with the people that you're running with, the people that you're communicating with. I really think that a lot of the issues that I know Laura and I have tried to work on, and other senators that have tried to work on this year, I think resolving those issues and bringing out solutions largely lies in collaborating with other people and talking about and sitting down, and just thinking about how do we solve these issues? What's like the root cause of this issue? And so I think really taking that opportunity to just be genuine to yourself, come into this setting and bring your ideas, knowing that like they're fully welcome and welcomed and appreciated is one of the best things you can do to start, and then just go from there.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that Francis said. If you're interested in this position, then I would say absolutely go for it. There are quite a few senators that one of the reasons that they wanted to run was they wanted to learn more about the AS overall, or about how the whole Senate exec board system worked. And I would say a lot of them have learned quite a lot, and they are grateful for that. In addition to being interested, if I were to answer the question of for someone running, like what kind of qualities would you really want to show that you have in the process of running? I would say being very determined. And I'll probably go into why this is in the next question. What is being a senator like, and what skills do you develop in the role? Just because this is a very new position. The whole idea of a student senator has only really been around for about 3 years at the university. So it hasn't had a whole lot of time for respect and understanding for the job in the eyes of admin and some faculty, to really understand what the role is like. So I would suggest showing that you're determined, showing that you have goals or certain things you want to achieve. Like Francis said, one of the reasons he ran, and also one of the reasons I ran, was there were frustrations that we both had. So I would say be honest about the frustrations that you have when you're running, and you don't have to flesh out like a 12-point plan for achieving your goals. If you have just a topic that you want to dive into more, or that you're interested in, I would say totally mention that. And then also being willing to be communicative and prepared in the process of running for the position. And then engage with anyone you can, like talk with anyone you can who might be interested in issues in the College of the Environment or are familiar with the AS to learn probably as much as you can during the process of running. But yeah, I would say basically if you're interested, go for it. And then during the process of running, do your best to show the best qualities of yourself, what makes you you and what you can bring to the table as a senator.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Just from watching both of you with your Instagram platforms that you had during COVID, that was pretty much the only platform you had. And I really appreciated how you spoke to how issues within Huxley, within the College of the Environment affected you. And I think that spoke to students, and that's why you're elected. And then going off of that, Laura, you can answer this first. What is being a senator like, and what skills do you develop in this role?
Overall, I have really loved this job. It has been a very enjoyable experience for me. However, in this answer, I'm going to be very honest so that people know what to expect, because sometimes people apply for the position. I think almost all of us senators right now applied for the position not 100% sure of what we were getting into, because you receive the legacy documents, if there are any, like after you get accepted into the role, and then it's like a brief summary of what the role might be like in the student senate position in the AS. So I'm just going to try and explain as much as I can what it's like being a senator. So overall for me, it's very enjoyable. But a lot of that is because a lot of my co-senators and myself decided to incorporate the element of activism in whatever we were doing in the meetings that we were attending, keeping in mind how to reach out to people that we should listen to, and how to amplify their voices, include their ideas in different committees or task forces. So basically the demands of the job are that you go to Senate meetings, and then you are appointed to about 2 different committees, and sometimes you're changed around in committees different quarters if a new committee is created or someone's schedule changes that they can't make it anymore. And then communicating with a bunch of different offices at WWU, like the Office of Sustainability, the Disability Outreach Center, the Academic Coordinating Commission, and then things that you talk about in Senate meetings. Sometimes people who have plans at the university will come in to ask your input as student representatives if you think the plans are inclusive, if they involve everyone, that they're not accidentally excluding anyone from their plans, and if there are any improvements for the plans just in general. And then sometimes a resolution is brought forward that we would pass along to the executive board and hopefully might go to the board of trustees, which are kind of big decision makers at Western, in simple terms for anyone who might not know what that is. And then engaging with faculty and the dean of your college. Of course, with at-large senators, they don't necessarily have a dean of their college, so that's the difference. And then also, this isn't necessarily a demand of the job, but Francis and I have both decided to do a lot of outreach to clubs or student groups. And most of the time, senators have a specific thing that they are very interested in, or some sort of passion project that they want to work on throughout the whole year, because it might be like harder to achieve or just something that they're very interested in. So if you have something that you are very interested in, or something that might be a good passion project, then that would be a good way to figure out how to achieve those goals of your passion project. And again, a lot of networking, reaching out to people to see who you're supposed to reach out to if you don't know, which is, everything is a learning process, so don't hesitate to reach out during the process of running and if you get the position. However, this is the honest part. I do believe that if you want this job, you should really want it, just because in some instances, this job can get pretty stressful. And I've noticed that a lot of senators that have two jobs sometimes get a little bit overwhelmed sometimes. So that's just something to keep in mind. Everyone has different capacities. If you don't think you can do that, that's totally okay. If you think you can do that and set really good boundaries for yourself, then that's also amazing. And it shouldn't, in my opinion, this job definitely shouldn't be regarded as like just a way to earn money. I mean, everyone has different viewpoints about having a job, but at the same time, there's a lot of effort that goes into this job sometimes, just because, again, it's only been along for a short while, so there's not a whole lot of respect and understanding generally that has been built up, especially with COVID interfering with that process. But again, it can be time consuming, it can be energy consuming, but at the same time, that's one of the things that I've learned from this job: how to say no, how to set boundaries for myself so that I can balance my schoolwork and balance my actual job, which is something that I kind of struggled with before and was afraid of doing well before. But this job has really put me in a position where I need to set boundaries, because there is quite an activist element and you don't want to tire yourself out as an activist. So making sure how much can I do so that I'm not fatigued and can actually do my schoolwork, because we are students first. And that is something the AS believes in all positions. They tell you to be students first. And then I've also learned how to stand up for myself and speak up for others. I was not consistent in doing that before, but now as a result of this job, I can see that I have definitely improved in that area. And then regarding the processes at WWU for decision-making and inspiring change, I have learned quite a bit more about how those processes work, especially with curriculum. Faculty really has the ability to inspire change or lead change in the area of curriculum. So that's something good that every student should know. And then I've also learned how to be the best listener possible. Not everyone in similar identities or backgrounds have the exact same mindset, and they're not like the spokesperson for that entire group of people under that identity. So I've learned just how vital it is to really listen to what everyone has to say about a specific topic or something they say needs to change. Yeah, that's my rant all done. I just wanted to be as thorough as possible so that you all know what you're getting into, because some senators didn't, and a lot of us senators want to fix that this year around.
I think Laura put it beautifully. Like, I think she touched on pretty much everything that I had thought of. But I guess just to add into that, maybe this is on a much, I would say, more simplified basis. But definitely, serving as a senator, a lot of that time is, in meetings, working on emails, like I've mentioned and Laura has mentioned, collaborating, and a lot of contact time with students, faculty, administration, other student leaders, clubs, people from all around the university. And so a lot of your time is spent doing that. And I think the way Laura put it, I would say one of the skills I've probably best improved on is communication skills. And not just in the general sense of me talking to you, but also thinking about the different backgrounds that are sitting in a room and those different lived experiences, and how do I ensure I am being respectful, and really ensuring that everyone's voice is heard in that situation, and that I'm not taking up space in a room when I should just be sitting there listening and thinking about how I can further support these goals. So I would really say that is one of the biggest things. And then outside of that, a lot of working in teams with people, their leadership, public speaking, a lot of those things definitely I feel I have developed. And then also a lot of organizational skills in terms of you're going to have up maybe a dozen meetings in a week sometimes, and you got to keep on track with that and make sure that you have that balance with your schoolwork. So finding ways to organize your schoolwork and then also your role as a senator, and still maintain like a healthy like emotional wellness is really important. And I definitely think I've learned a lot of that.
Thank you. And then I'll go into the last question, and I have one follow-up question for you all. What were your goals moving into this position, and what have you been able to do in this position so far? And I'll start with Francis on that one.
Yeah, you know, I think obviously overall, one of the biggest overarching goals I had was just really being able to work with students, get in contact with students, take those voices and those conversations I've had and take that and let faculty, administration, a lot of the heavy hitting decision makers within the university hear those voices and know that there's a large body of students that care about these issues and that they don't go unnoticed when decisions are made not in favor of students. More specifically, that that looked like this coming into the position. A lot of my goals definitely had to go around, working on accomplishing the BSO demands. Within, Laura mentioned this earlier, but the Sustainable Action Plan from 2017, it's now 2021, and that has not been updated. And if we really want to lead the cause as Western Washington University in ensuring the sustainability of the university and mitigating the climate crisis, we got to work on that and more actively update something like that. And then also beyond that, just like updating curriculum and making sure that we are kind of actively evolving as a university to where we want to be in terms of accessibility, inclusivity, equity, all of those things. So that I would say that was just an overarching kind of list of my goals. And, since then, I think I feel we've made great strides and made a lot of accomplishments. Just recently, this past week, I was with my role on the academic, the ACC, sorry, I'm forgetting, the Academic Curriculum Committee. We passed the religious accommodations statement, which was one of the BSO demands. So that was really cool to be able to directly have an impact on that and see that happening. And then beyond that, Laura and I have both worked with the DEI team within the College of the Environment in talking about how are we changing and moving forward the college in terms of curriculum, in terms of just like ensuring students, like student life within the college, things like that. And I think there's a ton other to touch on, and I'm going to let Laura take that as well.
Yeah, honestly, we made this student update that really fleshes it out. So I'll probably just touch on the bullet points that we made there. I was similar to Francis in that I really wanted to prioritize the BSO demands. Of course, another thing was I recognized that some of the demands were really going to take longer than a term, like a student senator term, to put those in place, and even maybe longer than 2 terms, just because all of these changes, there's a lot of changes that need to happen to every department here, and it's going to take a while before they get in place. So another question was how to make sure that the push from students is sustainably led, and that it can be carried over from year to year without wavering support, and then of course, like Francis said, the Sustainability Action Plan, generally DEI issues in the College of the Environment, and then a big one was transparency, because the more we learned about the position, the more we realized that students don't really know much about the position, and they think it's just like student government in high school, which it really isn't. I mean, I've heard that during in-person courses and everything, people in the student senate were able to coordinate events, but that wasn't, the big thing that they were doing with their time. Anyway, for winter quarter, what we were able to accomplish, we actually made quite a lot of impact with the Huxley College name change, which is like BSO demand number 6. And I basically did research aiming to answer the question, what did Huxley do, say, or teach that was so harmful to people of color that the Black Student Organization is demanding a Huxley College name change? And I came up with a pretty significant document. Again, I focused specifically on what aspects of his teachings or what he said or did were harmful. I didn't necessarily look into his scientific achievements, although those are very significant. He was a very influential scientist at the time. I also wrote an op-ed with that one, and then Francis and I hosted a task force forum. Now I sit on the Legacy Review Task Force, which is charged with evaluating building names and has a specific charge to decide how to approach the Huxley College name. And we should come to a decision by the end of May-ish. And then again, Francis talked about our work with DEI issues. And then we worked with our co-senators to host a forum together to inform people about the replacement of the ACGM and BCGM DURs with PLEDGE, which stands for Power, Liberation, Equity, and Justice. And that would help bring forward incorporating anti-racism and more of an activist viewpoint into curriculum that you're teaching people about different cultures, different struggles within different identities. And then Francis, of course, worked with honors students and senators on diversity, equity, and inclusion issues in the honors program. I attended the Washington, Oregon Higher Education Sustainability Conference. That was an amazing opportunity. Side note, pretty sure it's happening next year. If you're into sustainability, you should absolutely apply if they have a grant again to waive the fee or cover the fee for you to attend that conference. It was amazing and truly made me realize how much Western needs to step up with their sustainability action plan. And it also gave me some great ideas to ensure that it is the goals and objectives of the action plan are carried out. And then we're working on the Green Graduate Distinction Program right now with Eben from the ESP. And please keep your eye out on that because I'm pretty sure website and or social media is coming soon. And then the VP of Sustainability has worked with me in light of the recent decision to extend the contract, and they made that decision without any student input, to extend the contract until 2023. And our question is, how can we make smaller changes in the direction of sustainability and accessibility to urge us in the direction of transitioning to self-operated dining? And the answer is involves food waste, zero waste, and looking at our food pantry, making sure that it's has pretty comprehensive options. And then Francis and I have just now started really looking into the Title IX process of investigating claims of harassment, sexual harassment or intimidation at WWU, and looking at current failures in that system. And we're going to focus this quarter on like gaining support for changes. And then again, student outreach through school events, student groups, club meetings, etc. Because we really want to increase transparency and awareness of this position and things that are going on at the university that students might be interested in. Yeah, that's a pretty good summary. As you can see, we've done quite a lot. And it's really helpful because there are two of us and we've both been really good at collaborating together and really supporting each other. So, yeah.
Awesome. And I just have one follow-up question for you. So if a student loves sustainability, really cares about like the built environment of Western, about food justice, about the very different meanings of sustainability, environmental activism around campus, what advice would you give when they're trying to make the decision about whether they would like to run for the vice president for sustainability or for your positions? Because it seems like there's some overlap there. And if you could just explain a little bit more what the 2017 sustainable action plan is. I remember I read it last year after talking with the vice president for sustainability, and I don't think a lot of people know about it or what the goals of it are.
I could dive into the sustainability action plan, and then Francis, if you want to talk about the other aspect of choosing to run for senator versus choosing to run for the VP of sustainability, because I should go very soon. I'm very sorry about that, but I got some classwork and studying to do. So the sustainability action plan was a plan created in 2017 with the Office of Sustainability and input from a bunch of different people using the university-wide sustainability committee that they had, which we are trying to revamp now with the help of Eben and the Dean of the College of the Environment, Steve. And it goes over goals and objectives that they have in the areas of, for example, water use, transitioning to zero waste, clean energy, more sustainable dining options, and I believe there are a couple of other sections. And it dives into what the university promised to do, and they had specific timelines of do this by 2022, do this by 2024. But of course, you know, the pandemic kind of threw a wrench in that, in addition to the fact that it's unclear how much progress was actually made. In the eyes of the Dean of the College of the Environment, there hasn't been much progress on those goals and objectives since 2017. So it was basically a plan that the university agreed to that they would carry out, and then it just kind of fell through. And it was very comprehensive. They had some amazing ideas in there, but again, just didn't have the continued support that it really needed to have.
And then in terms of kind of deciding between if you were going to run for VP of sustainability or as a senator, I think it really comes down to, I think either way is a great way to go. Both positions are wonderful positions where you'll have a great experience. Obviously with the VP of sustainability, your whole focus in your position is going to be on sustainability, environmental issues related to Western Washington University. And so if that is really like what you want to prioritize all of your work as a student leader on, that is a great route to go. If you want to dive into other issues on campus and you kind of want to, I guess, use your toolbox to take on a multitude of different issues, being a student senator may be the way to go for you. I know another really cool thing I think with being a student senator is you get to represent the individuals in your college specifically. So it is like really like there is a huge community aspect of that, and not saying that the other position doesn't have that, but as a senator, you really do get to represent you get to focus in on a small group of people who are experiencing having a similar college experience to you in the same college. So I think really it comes down to a lot of that. That being said, I also think it's worth noting that, you know, the more we learn, I think sustainability is tied to so many other issues on campus. You know, sustainability isn't just about protecting the environment or like thinking about how do we reduce Western's carbon emissions or how do we go net zero on campus. It's about how do we create like a sustainable culture on our campus that is uplifting every voice, uplifting all individuals on campus, and, you know, ensuring the longevity of Western student body. So I think that's really important to note, and I think either option is a great way to go, but just that was a little bit more on that.
Yeah. Oh, one more note is that there is a difference in time commitment. I believe the VP of sustainability is 15 to 19 hours per week, and then 7 to 10 hours for a student senator position. And then If you need to work overtime, you have to ask your advisors beforehand if the school has the budget to do that. So keeping in mind exactly how much time you're willing to commit or can commit based on your course schedule is something that's good to take into consideration.
Great. Well, we're out of time, so I'd like to thank you both for your contributions this year as senators. I know it's a difficult job, and thank you for being willing to be interviewed today.